Let me tell you the story of how I ended up here, starting a Booktube channel. Last year, in 2023, I don't think I read a single book, at least according to my forgotten Goodreads account. I was too busy working, studying, gaming, and gaming to have the time to read. Last year, I tried super hard to make a YouTube skateboarding account, but I eventually fell out of love with that hobby. You see, me and skateboarding, going through a rough divorce. Towards the end of the year, I got my permit to teach, and now I'm in the baby phases of being a primary school teacher. One thing I learned from this overwhelmingly long degree of mine is that teachers should be really well versed in literature, especially children's literature. Now, it's really obvious, but I didn't really take this information until one day. One day there was a student of mine who couldn't find a library book to borrow, and I felt so bad. They looked so sad that they couldn't find a library book, and I was like, what do I recommend them? Do you like animals? Or do you like whatever? I could not recommend them a book. And ever since that day, I vowed with every inch of my soul to be well versed in children's literature and just read books in general. So I grew up as a kid in Australia, and I would always see these books with these stickers on it. And somehow, instinctively, I knew that these books were of the highest quality. Well, fast forward to about 25 years later, to the present day, and I was right. What I learned was these stickers are from a council called the Children's Book Council of Australia. And every year they'll award a book award aimed at the youngest readers and a book award aimed at the older readers. And this is all for children. And the book awards are normally given out to Australian authors only. I don't really have a children's book collection, and as a teacher, I think I need to start one. I ended up going through and looking at the 2022 winners and 2023 winners, and I got all the winners from those categories. And oof, my wallet took a huge hit. And at first it was pretty easy to read all the picture books. I kind of dug reading the picture books. I read one of the novels and I loved that, but when it came down to this novel, Runt by Craig Silvey, this was kind of a struggle. This one won Novel of the Year, I think in 2023. In the US, they're releasing it as the underdogs of Ups and Downs. This book came out in 2022 and it won Children's Book of the Year in 2023. Now, there was nothing wrong with this book. It's really funny and it's really charming, but for some reason, it didn't hook me as all the other books that I read this year, such as Paper Girls. Like this graphic novel, Paper Girls, one of my favorite reads of this year, and I'll probably do a separate video later on. It's about time traveling, and I just love time traveling. But what sets people apart when they go through some sort of stagnation is just to keep pushing through, and that I did with this book. And eventually I really started looking forward to reading this book. I found myself laughing out loud a lot of times while reading it, because it is really funny. And every main character and villain has a quirk to them that gives them a hilarious quality. And throughout reading this book, I was like, man, they should really make a movie out of this. It would be so perfect. This book was pretty much made to be a movie. And surprisingly, yes, they are making a movie right now. I think it might come out this year, or I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. Now's your chance to read this. Once upon a time, I used to do a little bit of writing, studying what goes into a story. There's this book called Anatomy of Story by John Truby, and I feel like Craig Silvey really hit all those points in the Anatomy of Story when he wrote this book. It just has such a satisfying resolution to all their characters, and everything's set up so well. This book is set in Australia in about the present day, and it's about a girl named Annie Shearer who lives on a farm with their parents and her brother Max. In this town called Ups and Downs, it sounds like upside down because when you live in Australia, everything's upside down. In this town, there's this menace of a dog who's always running around and eating people's foods, running through, making a mess, and everyone starts calling him Runt, this dog. And no one knows who Runt belongs to. Pretty much, the town hates this dog, except for Annie. Annie befriends this dog and eventually just adopts the dog. And now this dog is really talented. He can round up a flock of sheep. He's super fast and all that. But the catch is he only does this when no one else is watching. There's like two villains of this book. One villain is like this guy named Baron or something, and he pretty much has bought out all the land of all the farmers. And the reason why all the farmers are selling their land is because he like built this dam where it's been blocking off all the water supply to all the farmers. So a lot of the land can't get water because of this new rich billionaire. And his plan is just to buy out the whole of the town. That's one of the main villains, but he's not the funny one I really like. Annie Shearer, she really likes to fix things. She's a bit quirky, a bit weird, and she decides to make like this rainmaker where when she looks through her grandpa's like notebook, it's kind of like Da Vinci's scribbles and stuff of inventions. She looks through all those ideas and tries to create one. She makes this like rainmaker type thing. And she overhears that the family is in need of money. She decides to enter a dog obstacle race at a fair. But how's she gonna win this race when Runt can't perform when everyone's looking at him? That's all I'll say and not try to spoil it, but I think the takeaway message of this book was just like, you should really follow in your own footsteps. You have to find your own path. You have to celebrate your uniqueness and use your uniqueness as your strength in life. It also teaches you not to force it out of someone. Let them find their own path, let them be happy. If you're following that path, I think good things will end up coming. My favorite character is the villain named Fergus Fink. He comes from like a family of pedigree where all his family members have won the dog obstacle races, but this time I don't think he's won a single one, and he's always like the favorite to win. And he'll do anything necessary to sabotage so he can win. The reason why I like him is he's so outlandish and so flamboyant. Like he's always like pretty much always putting on a performance when he arrives. In the end, I'm really glad I ended up finishing this book. I know it was a bit of a struggle. It took me more than a month to read this, maybe 7 weeks, but I'm glad I got through. And like I said, it's one of those books that just wraps up everything so nicely. I've never really had a book wrap up everything so perfectly, and this book really does it. And I could see it being a book of the year. I'm gonna give it like a 4.5 out of 5, just because it didn't catch me wanting to read it non-stop. Those are normally my 5 out of 5s where I just want to put down everything and just read the book. Now, the problem is, after I finished this book, I was like, I have no one else to talk to about this book. What can I do? And I think this is such a common problem for us readers. Like readers, I think we lean towards introversion. We don't want to make the effort to kind of meet people and talk about books. I tried this year to join a Facebook reading club, and it was kind of, I'll have to share my experiences in another video, but only one person turned up, it was supposed to be like 4 other people, but one person turned up. And I've tried doing one of those Goodreads like community groups, but I feel like that's too much work. You have to buy the book, you have to try keep up with their reading. It's almost like homework, really. And that's the reason why I'm starting my own Booktube channel. I want to read books at my own pace. I want to read whatever books I want. I want to talk about it, and maybe there's other people that also want to talk about it. I want to build my own community. And I think the main draw of this channel is I'm actually going to do a chapter by chapter like reaction type thing on a book. I don't think anyone else is really doing that, and there might be a market for that. If you're interested in joining me, my next video will be on the 15th of May, and the book I'm going to read is The 3-Body Problem. So this book here, I'm only up to chapter 6 right now. I'm reading this chapter by chapter, and I'm sharing my reactions and stuff. And the video will be, should you read this book even after you've seen the Netflix show? Because originally I watched the Netflix show before deciding to read the book. Join me on that. We'll have lots of spoilers, obviously. With this channel, the bare minimum is I'm going to post at least twice a month. On every 1st of the month, I'll post a video, and every 15th of the month, I'll post a video. So I might throw in some shorts here and there. I think every month there'll be a main book where I'll do the chapter by chapter, but every other content might be just a fun story or a little quick book review, such as Paper Girls and why my story of joining the Facebook group went wrong. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. If you really liked what you saw, hit that like, leave a comment, what book you're reading right now, what's a book that you've enjoyed lately. Hit the subscribe and join me on reading The 3-Body Problem. We'll be discussing that in 2 weeks' time. My name is Satra. I forgot to say that. My name is Satra, and this is Satra Reads, my Booktube channel. Until next time, happy reading.